She rolled into the shelter quietly, her wheelchair creaking with every movement. Volunteers warned her to stay away from the kennel with the dangerous dog. But when the paralyzed little girl reached out her hand, the German shepherd everyone. Fear did something so unexpected. It left the entire room speechless. The shelter doors creaked open, and the sound of her wheelchair echoed across the concrete floor. The little girl's small hands gripped the wheels tightly as she rolled forward, her bright eyes scanning the rows of kennels. For a moment, the barking and whining of dozens of dogs seemed to fade under the weight of her quiet determination. They had seen many visitors before, but there was something different about this child. Despite the chair that confined her legs, she carried herself with a strength that couldn't be measured by steps. Her parents stood a few paces behind, their faces etched with both pride and worry. This wasn't just a visit to cheer her up. It was a search for a companion who could understand her struggles and fill the empty space in her world. As the girl wheeled further inside, the chorus of barking grew louder. Curious noses pressed against cage doors, tails wagging in frantic rhythm, each dog hoping to be noticed. The volunteers pointed out friendly options, gentle seniors, playful pups, calm companions perfect for families. But one kennel, tucked in the corner, remained eerily silent. The girl's eyes drifted toward it, but before she could ask, one of the staff members quickly stepped in front of her. "Not that one," the woman said softly, her tone edged with caution. "That German shepherd. He's different." The little girl frowned. "Different how?" The volunteer hesitated, exchanging nervous glances with her co-workers. Finally, she sighed. "He was found abandoned, tied to a post. Starved, mistreated. We tried, but he doesn't trust people. He growls, lunges. Some call him dangerous." Her parents stiffened at the word. Dangerous. The girl glanced at the kennel again. Inside, two piercing amber eyes stared back through the shadows, unblinking, unreadable. The shepherd didn't bark, didn't move, he just watched. "Please," another volunteer urged, "for her safety, keep her away from him." But the little girl's heart beat faster. Something about that dog pulled at her in a way no warning could silence. The girl's wheelchair squeaked softly as she turned toward the corner kennel. The volunteers shifted uneasily, but she ignored their worried faces. Slowly, she wheeled closer until the shadow within the cage sharpened into form. The German shepherd stood tall, his body tense, muscles coiled like a spring. His ears pricked forward, his amber eyes narrowing as they locked onto her. A deep growl vibrated through the air, low and steady, like distant thunder. The volunteers flinched, ready to pull her back, but the girl didn't move. Her small fingers rested calmly on her lap, her gaze meeting the dog's without fear. For a long moment, the shelter seemed to hold its breath. The other dogs fell silent, as if waiting. Everyone else saw a threat, a beast pacing behind bars. But she leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hi there," she said gently. The growl rumbled louder, echoing against the kennel walls. Volunteers rushed forward, their voices sharp with panic. "Pull her back. It's not safe," one cried. Her parents moved quickly, but the girl raised her hand, stopping them with surprising authority. "Please, let me try," she whispered. Her wheelchair creaked as she rolled closer, the shepherd's eyes tracking her every movement. His lips curled slightly, teeth flashing, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she spoke in the same soft tone she used with her dolls at home. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The volunteers held their breath, hearts pounding. They had seen this dog lunge at grown men before, yet now he remained rooted in place, uncertain. The girl extended her hand through the bars, her palm trembling but steady with courage. For a tense moment, the shepherd's body stayed rigid, his growl vibrating in the air. But then, his ears tilted back. His growl faltered, replaced by a heavy, cautious breath. He lowered his head, inching closer, nostrils flaring as he sniffed her tiny hand. The room was silent. Every eye was locked on the impossible scene unfolding. The girl smiled. "See? You're not scary at all." Time seemed to freeze. The girl's hand remained still inside the kennel, her wheelchair locked in place. The German shepherd sniffed once, twice, then exhaled a long, shuddering breath. His muscles loosened, his tail flicked uncertainly, and then, to everyone's shock, he pressed his scarred muzzle gently against her palm. Gasps echoed through the shelter. A volunteer clapped her hand over her mouth. Her parents stood frozen, wide-eyed, waiting for the moment to shatter. But it didn't. Instead, the dog, once branded aggressive and untouchable, let out a low whimper. Slowly, carefully, he licked the girl's fingers, his eyes no longer sharp with warning, but soft with something no one expected. Trust, the girl giggled, a sound so pure it seemed to melt the tension from the air. See? She whispered, stroking his fur through the bars. You're just lonely. The shepherd lowered his head further, lying down before her wheelchair, his body pressed against the cold metal door as though he longed to be closer. The volunteers stood stunned, their warnings now hollow. The unthinkable had happened. The dog who rejected everyone had chosen her. And in that moment, the little girl and the feared shepherd became inseparable. The shelter fell into stunned silence. Volunteers who had once avoided the shepherd's cage now gathered, whispering in disbelief. One of the senior staff members, an older man with tired eyes, finally spoke. You don't understand, he said, his voice low. That dog has never let anyone near him. Not once. The girl looked up, confused. Why? The man sighed, leaning against the wall. He came to us broken. We found him tied to a tree in the middle of winter, starved nearly to death. His body bore scars from chains and worse, from people who thought cruelty was power. Every time someone tried to help, he lashed out. He didn't trust a soul. The girl's hand still rested gently against the shepherd's muzzle. His eyes closed as if her touch was the first kindness he'd known in years. Her parents exchanged glances, their worry softening into awe. The aggressive dog wasn't showing aggression at all. He was showing surrender. The truth hit everyone at once. He hadn't been dangerous because he was vicious. He was dangerous because he was hurt, betrayed, and terrified. But now, in the presence of a fragile little girl, his walls had crumbled. From that day forward, the German shepherd was no longer the same. Whenever the girl visited, his growls were replaced with quiet whines of recognition. He would press himself against the kennel door, tail thumping softly, waiting for her hand to reach through the bars. The volunteers watched in disbelief. Dogs that had lived in fear often took months, sometimes years, to trust again. Yet with her, the transformation was immediate, undeniable. It was as though she had spoken a language no one else could hear. One afternoon, as she rolled past the other cages, the shepherd refused to stay behind. He pawed at the latch, barked insistently, and when a volunteer finally opened the kennel, he walked straight to her side. Slowly, carefully, he placed his head on her lap, his body relaxing against her wheelchair as though it was his rightful place. Tears welled in her parents' eyes. The girl stroked his ears, smiling wider than she had in months. You're my protector, she whispered. The staff exchanged looks of wonder. The dog who had once terrified everyone now followed the little girl with unwavering loyalty. And in that simple, unshakable bond, he had chosen his person. The day finally came when the papers were signed. The once feared German shepherd no longer belonged to the shelter. He belonged to her. As the volunteers gathered to watch, the girl wheeled forward, the dog trotting proudly at her side. His head stayed close to her chair, his body a shield of devotion. Her parents wiped tears as they saw the joy radiating from her face. For so long, they had worried about her loneliness, her isolation. Now, she had found more than a pet. She had found a guardian. The volunteers whispered in awe. He chose her, one said softly. She healed him. As the doors opened, sunlight spilled across them. The shepherd paused, glanced back once at the place that had held his pain, and then stepped forward beside his girl. Together, they left the shelter, not broken and alone, but whole and unstoppable.